Hello everybody and welcome back. Today we begin Chapter 5 of Alice Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll, and it's called Wool and Water. Now, tell me something, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Did you work out in the last chapter whose shawl it was that Alice found? We are about to find out. So if you're ready, I'll begin. She caught the shawl as she spoke and looked about for the owner. In another moment, the White Queen came running wildly through the wood with both arms stretched out wide as if she were flying, and Alice very civilly went to meet her with the shawl. "I'm very glad I happened to be in the way," Alice said, as she helped her to put on her shawl again. The White Queen only looked at her in a helpless, frightened sort of way, and kept repeating something to herself in a whisper that sounded something like bread and butter, bread and butter. And Alice felt that if there was to be any conversation at all, she must manage it herself. So she began rather timidly, "Am I addressing the White Queen?"
"Well, yes, if you call that addressing," the Queen said. "It isn't my notion of the thing at all."
Alice thought it would never do to have an argument at the very beginning of their conversation, so she smiled and said, "If your Majesty will only tell me the right way to begin, I'll do it as well as I can."
"But I don't want it done at all," groaned the White Queen. "I've been addressing myself for the past 2 hours."
It would have been all the better, as it seemed to Alice, as if she had got someone else to dress her. She was so dreadfully untidy. "Every single thing's crooked," Alice thought to herself, "and she's all over pins. May I put your shawl straight for you?" she added out loud.
"I don't know what's the matter with it," the Queen said in a melancholy voice. "It's out of tempo, I think. I've pinned it here and I've pinned it there, but there's no pleasing it."
"It can't go straight, you know, if you pin it all on one side," Alice said, as she gently put it right for her. "And, oh dear me, what a state your hair's in!"
"The brush has got entangled in it," the Queen said with a sigh. "And I lost the comb yesterday."
Alice carefully released the brush and did her best to get the hair into order. "Come, you look rather better now," she said, after altering most of the pins. "But really you should have a lady's maid."
"I'm sure I'll take you with pleasure," the Queen said. "Twopence a week and jam every other day."
Alice couldn't help laughing as she said, "I don't want you to hire me, and I don't care for jam."
"It's very good jam," said the Queen.
"Well, I don't want any today at any rate."
"You couldn't have it if you did want it," the Queen said. "The rule is jam tomorrow, jam yesterday, but never ever jam today."
"It must come sometimes to jam today," Alice objected.
"No, it can't," said the Queen. "It's jam every other day. Today isn't any other day, you know."
"I don't understand you," said Alice. "It's dreadfully confusing."
"That's the effect of living backwards," the Queen said kindly. "It always makes one a little giddy at first."
"Living backwards," Alice repeated in great astonishment. "I never heard of such a thing."
"But there's always one great advantage in it. That is, one's memory works both ways."
"I'm sure mine only works one way," Alice remarked. "I can't remember things before they happen."
"It's a poor sort of memory that only works backwards," the Queen remarked.
"What sort of things do you remember best?" Alice asked.
"Oh, things that happened the week after next,"
the Queen replied in a careless tone. For instance now, she went on, sticking a large piece of plaster, band-aid, on her finger as she spoke. There's the king's messenger. He's in prison now, being punished, and the trial doesn't even begin till Wednesday, and of course the crime comes last of all. Suppose he never commits the crime, said Alice. That would be all the better, wouldn't it? The Queen said, as she bound the plaster round her finger with a bit of ribbon. Alice felt there was no denying that. Of course, it would be all the better, she said. But it wouldn't be all the better his being punished. You're wrong there at any rate, said the Queen. Weren't you ever punished? Only for faults, said Alice. And you were all the better for it, I know, the Queen said triumphantly. Yes, but then I had done the things I was punished for, said Alice. That makes all the difference. But if you hadn't done them, the Queen said, that would have been better still. Better, and better, and better! Her voice went higher with each better till it got quite to a squeak at last. Alice was just beginning to say, There's a mistake somewhere, and the Queen began screaming so loud that she had to leave the sentence unfinished. Oh, 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 shouted the Queen, shaking her hand about as if she wanted to shake it off. My finger's bleeding. Oh, 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 oh. Her screams were so exactly like the whistle of a steam engine that Alice had to hold both her hands over her ears. What is the matter? She said, as soon as there was a chance of making herself heard. Have you pricked your finger? I haven't pricked it yet, the Queen said, but I soon shall. Oh, oh, oh! When do you expect to do it? Alice asked, feeling very much inclined to laugh. When I fasten my shawl again, the poor Queen groaned out. The brooch will come undone directly. Oh, oh! As she said the words, the brooch flew open, and the Queen clutched wildly at it and tried to clasp it again. Take care, cried Alice, you're holding it all crooked. And she caught at the brooch, but it was too late. The pin had slipped, and the Queen had pricked her finger. That accounts for the bleeding, you see, she said to Alice with a smile. Now you understand the way things happen here. But why don't you scream now? Alice asked, holding her hands ready to put over her ears again. Why, I've done all the screaming already, said the Queen. What would be the good of having it all over again? By this time, it was getting light. The crow must have flown away, I think, said Alice. I'm so glad it's gone. I thought it was the night coming on. I wish I could manage to be glad, the Queen said, only I can never remember the rule. You must be very happy living in this wood and being glad whenever you like. Only it is so very lonely here, Alice said in a melancholy voice, and at the thought of her loneliness, 2 large cheeks came rolling down her cheeks. Oh, don't go on like that, cried the poor Queen, wringing her hands in despair. Consider what a great girl you are. Consider what a long way you've come today. Consider what o'clock it is. Consider anything. Only don't cry. Alice could not help laughing at this, even in the midst of her tears. Can you keep from crying by considering things? She asked. That's the way it's done, the Queen said with great decision. Nobody can do 2 things at once, you know. Let's consider your age to begin with. How old are you? I'm 7½ exactly. You needn't say exactually, the Queen remarked. I can believe it without that. Now, I'll give you something to believe. I'm just 101, 5 months, and a day. I can't believe that, cried Alice. Can't you? The Queen said in a pitying tone. Try again. Draw a long breath and shut your eyes. Alice laughed. There's no use trying, she said. One can't believe impossible things. Oh, I dare say you haven't had much practice, said the Queen. When I was your age, I always did it for half an hour a day. Why, sometimes I've believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. Oops, there goes the shawl again. The brooch had come undone as she spoke, and a sudden gust of wind blew the Queen's shawl across a little brook. The Queen spread out her arms again and went flying after it, and this time she succeeded in catching it for herself. I've got it! She cried in a triumphant tone. Now you shall see me pin it on again, all by myself. Then I hope your finger is better now, Alice said very politely, as she crossed the little brook after the Queen. Oh, much better, cried the Queen, her voice rising to a squeak as she went on. Much better. Bitter. Bitter. Bleh. The last word ended in a long bleat, so like a sheep that Alice quite started. Oh, hello, 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 boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. What on earth has happened to the White Queen now? Tune in tomorrow for the next exciting instalment of Chapter 5 of Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. My name's been Sascha Cooper, and this has been Quarantine Kids Story Time. Take care of yourself, and don't go barking mad till then. Take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.